right, Serious and Silliness and Uncle John. I got the pleasure of interviewing the number six bodybuilder on the planet, Akim Williams, the Brooklyn Beast. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me online.
Of course, no problem. You and I have something in common. I don't know if you know, but we're both from Brooklyn and we both live in Jersey now. Yeah, I grew up in Bensonhurst.
Okay, gotcha.
What part of Brooklyn are you from?
Originally from Brownsville.
Oh, Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe.
Yeah,
Nice. All right, cool. And and you're also a car guy too, right?
yeah. That's
You got,
my other hobby other than bodybuilding,
you got
basically.
you still got the C6?
Yeah, still got a C6. I'm thinking about upgrading, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I know. I had a C7 and now I got a Daytona Charger, the
Oh,
392. Yeah.
nice.
So let's get right into it, man.
Hmm.
So basically, here's my opinion of you as a bodybuilder.
Okay.
You're that guy that
Mhm.
is on nobody's radar, and then you come out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And I don't understand why you're not on anybody's radar. And you come, especially the last 3 years, and you just come in and destroy people's dreams, basically. Right. I mean, you were, in my opinion, you were overlooked in last year's Arnold Classic. You should
Uh-huh.
have did better. But then, like, the Chicago Pro comes around, everybody's talking about Justin Rodriguez, rightfully so. Everybody's talking about Nick, the new kid. What's his name?
Nick Walker,
Nick Walker, because he was the new kid on the block, rightfully so. And everybody was talking about Milos's boy, who's always shredded. What's his
Max
name?
Charles.
Everybody's talking about those three, Max Charles. And then nobody had you on the radar, and you come in and just wrecked everybody, and then took number six at the Olympia. So my first question is, why do you think why do you think you're never on anybody's radar? I don't understand. You have more muscle than any bodybuilder, and in the last 3 years, you kind of have found that formula where you come in shredded.
Uh, I mean, I don't even know if I could answer that question because it's just something that they just don't put me in that mix. Which in a sense, I really don't mind because I like being the underdog. I like going in and nobody mentioned me. You
Takes the
know,
pressure off, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah. Well, it certainly took the pressure off last year. And
yeah.
what's funny is even when you won the Chicago Pro, even that was one of the best Akim Williams I've ever seen on stage. Even when you won the Chicago Pro,
Mhm.
and people were talking about the Olympia, they still weren't talking about you. I mean, I listened to Dave Palumbo, I listened to Chris Aceto, I listened to Fouad Abiad, all these guys, and they're still not, and it was like, did you see what that man looked like? you know? So how much do you weigh on your off season usually?
Off season, I mean, back then I used to get up to like 320. Now I try to
Wow.
sit right around like 290, 285. I don't try to get heavier than that, man.
And how tall are you?
5'10".
Wow. Okay. That's big, dude. That's big. And on stage, how much do you weigh?
Right around like 265. I mean, the heaviest I've been on stage so far was about 270 to 75. But I come in right around like my perfect weight for being in shape and everything like that is around 260 to 65. I
Okay.
think if I get down to that weight, I'm pretty dangerous. You know,
What year did you turn pro? 2012?
2013.
2013. And what did you won? What, the Nationals?
I won the North Americans overall.
North Americans. That's right. I'm sorry. You won the North Americans.
Mhm.
So from about 2014 till let's say about 3 years ago, it seemed like uh, you had all the muscle in the world. You kind of, it seemed to me like you kind of had some problems coming in shape. But then, like 3 years ago, it was like you found the formula.
Mhm.
What do you attribute that to?
Just the training, I never trained like a bodybuilder before. When I turned pro, I was still training like a powerlifter. I was still
Really?
squatting 100 pounds for low reps and stuff like that. I wasn't trained like a bodybuilder. So, you can't expect to look like a bodybuilder if you're not training like a bodybuilder.
Okay. How much
You
were
know,
you squatting?
800, 900 pounds for low reps.
Right.
So, doing stuff like that, it's impressive and, people gravitate towards it and everything like that. But
Yeah.
when it comes to bodybuilding, it really don't matter how much you squat or how much you bench press.
Yeah. Well, look at Dexter Jackson, 100%.
Exactly.
100%
Yeah.
right. Dexter Jackson, Sean Roden,
Hmm.
even Phil. They weren't crazy strong guys, but you're
Hmm.
100% right.
Hmm.
Um, So if you were squatting 900, what were you deadlifting?
I think the most I went up to was about 850, I think.
Wow. And what about bench pressing?
About 550. My bench press was probably my weakest.
But clearly, you're probably the strongest IFBB pro bodybuilder. It's probably between you and I would say James Hollingshead. You had, God rest his soul. It was usually you and
Dallas
McCall. Everybody was, and even Luke Sandow was really strong. And RIP. There's a lot of tragedy. But as of right now, I mean, I'd say, like you said, it doesn't really matter on stage. But I don't know, to dudes, it's impressive, man.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive to look at, And I see a lot of guys, they moving some serious weight right now. To me, I don't play that moving weight stuff anymore, man. Like the whole he's stronger and all this other stuff. I really don't care about that shit anymore.
Well, it's whatever you're doing is working, right?
Yeah.
So how long have you been working how long have you been working with Oscar Arden?
Me and Oscar started back in 2000, I want to say 17 or 2018.
Okay. So for people who don't know, Oscar Arden is probably one of the best coaches in the country, certainly on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trained guys like Kai Green, right?
Mm-hmm.
He won 2 Arnold Classics with Kai Green. He trained Victor Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
He trained Evan Santopani. These are all champion bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but do you attribute anything to his training methods?
Of course. He really taught me how to train like a bodybuilder. That was one of the first person that really taught me, you're training wrong and everything like that. You're not training like a bodybuilder. So I've learned a lot from him. I've changed my training because of him, so, I attribute a lot of my success to the way he taught me how to train and everything like that,
I see. Yeah, because it's making a big difference. And you are, people talk about like scary bodybuilders, like he could be scary. That seems to be the quote. You are pretty much the definition of a scary bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. You're off everybody's radar, and then you have the more muscle than anybody on stage, and now you come in chiseled. That's the definition of scary. For everybody else, that's a definition of scary. So that the rumor has it that Leon Brown discovered you. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was his wife, actually. So
really?
Yeah, it was his wife. So I got to give her that credit.
How did that story go?
One day, I was coming back from the gym, and I got on the subway, being back living in Brooklyn, everything like that. I actually got on the bus, the MTA bus, and she just so happened to be sitting right behind the driver.
Okay.
When I put the Metro card in, she saw my triceps, and she couldn't believe what she saw. I didn't know anything back then and everything like that, Mm-hmm. And she gave me her business card, and she told me she still is out in Staten Island. Actually, they both live out in Staten Island. She gave me a business card, and she actually introduced me to Leon. Like maybe a couple of days later, I went out to Staten Island to see her and see Leon, and that's how we started.
And how old were you about when that happened?
I want to say like 25, 26, maybe.
Okay.
I started very late, man.
So for people who don't know, Leon Brown was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's training partners, mm-hmm. and a top professional bodybuilder in the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
And he was the one that discovered you. And from what I understand, I don't know if it's true or not, he was the one that called Dave Palumbo. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate, but they did speak a few times after, but that's not accurate.
Okay. So who did you have a trainer? Or you guys were just doing it on your own?
Well, when I first started, a couple of shows, Leon is like an old school bodybuilder. So he didn't really, it's not too like fast in the modern bodybuilding scene, all he knew hardcore training and stuff like that.
Old school. Yeah.
Those guys back then, they just trained so hard they could eat whatever they wanted and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely. He was a blessed bodybuilder.
Yes.
I used to go to the same gym as him.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go, it was Pump and Iron
Mm-hmm.
Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I spoke to him, I mean, he always looked great, even as he got older,
Mm-hmm.
Every time I spoke to him, hey, Leon, what are you training? Chest and buys. Every time. That's all he would train is chest and buys, But he's a good dude. He's definitely definitely.
His wife is also a beautiful person, So
really, yeah. I never had the pleasure of
a lot of success to them, and they really like took me in, and I'm like a son to them. So they're both beautiful people.
Yeah, I've met Leon several times. He probably knows me by face. just being around the bodybuilding scene. So here's another thing. I don't know if remember this. You probably don't because you've done so much guest posing, but you guest pose. I did the last contest I did was the Brooklyn Grand Prix.
Okay.
In 2014, and you were the guest poser there. And I used to have a picture, but I lost it. I lost it when I changed phones. But wasn't that the first show you did?
That was one of the second shows I did.
That was the second show, and you won the whole thing, right?
I think I won the heavyweight at that show. I didn't win the whole thing. I think I won the heavyweight, and I went up for the overall, and I didn't take the overall.
Okay, all right. So how many pro wins do you have now? You got a handful of them now.
It sucks. It's just only 2.
That's it.
Yeah, there's only 2, but I have been runner up so many times I actually lost count.
So you won the Chicago Pro, but then a few years back, I remember because I watched. Which one?
Tampa.
And I watched the interview with you and Dave Palumbo. Wasn't he training you back then?
Yes, for Tampa, he trained me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you bought him a pair of Jordans.
Yes, I bought him a pair.
That was a great interview. That was great.
Got him. I think I got him a pair of Jordans and also a Victor. I think it's a Victor watch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's real nice. Yeah. Well, praise out to him because he just went through surgery. He had thyroid cancer
and everything. So I hope he has a very speedy recovery and everything goes well.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I mean, out of all the cancers, this is sounds stupid, but if you get a cancer, the thyroid cancer is the one you want because you don't have to go through chemo. They just remove it. It's still dangerous, but what show are you thinking of doing next?
The plan is to probably do something around summertime. I'm still, working on improving my back and stuff like that. That's the whole goal this off season. So the plan right now is to do something around summertime. I'm in pretty good right now for the off season, so I wouldn't need more than maybe 10 weeks to get in the show right now. So
I got you. Okay. Yeah, everything is crushed because of the COVID thing. So everything is between May and October kind of deal, right? And a lot of the stuff is in July and August and September. Yeah. And I think everything's going to be in Florida, even though it'll be the Chicago Pro and Tampa, everything will still be in Florida, But no, that's great, dude. When did you move to New Jersey?
Oh God, probably about 5 years ago, maybe. I think 5. Yeah. I've been here for a little while already. Definitely different from New York.
Yeah, I moved out here 10 years ago, and I think you and I moved out here for the same reason. My wife is from Jersey. Okay. But no, that's fantastic, dude. Now, take me through your amateur record. You won the North Americans, but how many national shows did you do before you won the North American?
I think I competed at the national level for probably 2 years before I turned pro. So I think right after I did the junior nationals in 2011, I think. Then another year, which was 2012, I did the USA's, and I think just the USA's, yeah. And then 2013, I turned pro at the North Americans. So I've only competed at a national level 2 years.
How'd you do in the USA's?
I got top 5.
Yeah,
but it was a very interesting scenario that happened at that year at the USA's. I was working with Palumbo, and he really wanted me to get down to the heavyweight, but my body just wanted to be a super heavy.
Right.
But we depleted so much by the time we realized we couldn't make heavyweight. I think it kind of ruined the physique a little bit. So by the time I back up and try to do something for the heavyweight, it was a little bit too late. But I think if we had stuck to the plan and my plan and going as super heavyweight, I probably would have turned pro that year at the US.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if anybody saw you as an amateur, you some guys you could see. I interviewed Samson Dowda about, I don't know, a month ago. And he's another one that's kind of like you, started late, but you could tell that he was destined to be a pro bodybuilder like yourself. Yeah. You see these guys in the amateur ranks and you look at them and you go, he's just a matter of time. He's a pro. That's it. Yeah. And you were definitely one of those guys, So you said that you came in second plenty of times. Which one hurt the most?
Probably 2019 New York Pro.
And who took first? 2019.
Juan Morel took first.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
Either 2019 or 2020. I can't remember. I think it was 2019. It was 2019. Yes.
2019. Good. And then I didn't remember that. I thought what year did Sergio Oliva win? It was 2018.
2018 or 2017, something like that.
2018. Yeah. Okay. I didn't remember that. Juan Morel. He's been quiet too. He's another guy that kind of stays low key and off the radar, and kind of shows up and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So did you have any aspirations about being a body? Did you look up to anybody growing up?
As far as bodybuilding now, man, this just fell into my lap. I never really wanted to compete as a bodybuilder or had dreams of bodybuilding and stuff like that. Just like literally fell in my lap. I met Leon's wife on the bus, and she told me about bodybuilding, and I'm like, you know what? She speaks very highly of it, and might as well just give it a shot. But I never came into this, thinking about turning pro and all this other stuff. I just like training.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. Did you do any sports or any athletics when you were young?
Yeah, basketball. I was a really good basketball player in high school and also college. So
you were a basketball player, and you were agile, because I got to assume you still had a lot of muscle on back then.
When my last physical for basketball, I was 146, 47 pounds.
Get that? Are you serious?
Yeah, I was made for this because at my height, I used to be dunking and doing all this other stuff. I just had like ridiculous leg strength. So it's only so once I got into bodybuilding, my squats was so impressive, So
that's amazing. How old were you when you were 146 pounds or whatever?
I was still in my early 20s at the time, because that's what I was doing.
And by the time you did your first show, how much did you weigh?
Well, once I started training, I just realized I started training after I kind of like got off from basketball, and one of my friends was going into the Marines. So I went down to the gym with him a few times, and we started lifting, and within 6 months, I looked like a completely different person, and he just stayed the same.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you're just one of those freaks of nature that looks at weights and you grow. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You're just, you were born to do this. Some guys are just born to do this. That's it. Early on, like, you see a picture of Arnold when he was 19 and you go, yeah, that guy was destined.
I mean, to me, growing up, I had this one cousin that I think, like, if he had followed the path that I had followed, I think he probably would have been as good as Ronnie Coleman or even better. Because he's just freaky, but he never picked up weights or anything like that. I used to be just jealous of how he was good, stuff like that growing up. Because he never worked in his life, but he was just built, man.
Yeah, you need genetics and you need hard work. And otherwise, if you don't have either one, bodybuilding is not the game to be in. Like, I love bodybuilding, and I did a bunch of amateur shows, you could see, but I just wasn't big enough, man. I just, I certainly wasn't going to do men's physique. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that wasn't my thing. I grew up loving hardcore bodybuilding, and I knew I won a bunch of I won a bunch of local shows, but I knew that if I was going to go to a national level show, I just didn't have the size.
Gotcha.
I would get killed. I knew it. I wasn't going to waste my time and my effort. And 2014 was the last show, and I was like, you know what? I'm better off being on the sidelines doing something like this.
Yeah.
That brings me to another question. How old are you now?
30, about to be 36.
Okay, still relatively young for bodybuilding. 36 to 40 is usually your peak years. What are your goals in the next 4 to 5 years?
Definitely to win Olympia. That's the number one goal right now, and I'm taking all the steps and measures to actually make that happen within this year or next year.
You have a better chance now than ever, because it seems to me that the Olympia was judged unfairly, but there was always somebody who dominated for a long period of time.
Yeah,
and guys couldn't break into that number one spot. And there were a couple of times where, like, there was that one year with Victor Martinez and Jay, and Victor really should have won.
Yeah,
there was that one year with Dorian and Nasser, and Nasser should have won. And that happened plenty of times. You can make the argument a bunch of times. In 80 when they gave it to Schwarzenegger because he was Arnold Schwarzenegger. But now it looks like, I don't know what the reason is, but now it looks like in the last 3 years we've had 3 different Mr. Olympia. In the last 4 years we had 4 different Mr. Olympias. So it seems like you certainly have the muscle to do it, and you certainly have the formula now. And a guy like Big Ramy, as great as he was last year, not taking anything away from him, but he's inconsistent. That spot is a little vulnerable, But then maybe he found his formula. Who knows? You know, I don't know. I don't know. But you have a better chance now than you've ever than anybody has ever had. So the top 6 guys have a good shot. Now, do you have to requalify?
Yeah, I actually do have to requalify. Yeah,
The top 5.
top 5.
Did you think you deserve better than 6?
I mean, it's kind of hard to answer that because I don't want to go against the judges and stuff like that.
Yeah, I understand.
In my heart, I felt like I brought a really good package, and I wish I had gotten a little bit more compared with the top 5 guys a little bit more, like a little bit more comparisons.
Yeah, just at least stand next to him. Yeah. Well, who came in 5th?
That was William Bonac.
Yeah, that's a tough package. Williams pretty much got it all. I mean, those top 5 guys, the Hottie and Phil, and Phil's Phil no matter what. Just, if Phil comes in 90%, he still beats everybody. It's just but you could certainly make that argument that you could have broken into 5th because you clearly had the size and the conditioning. Well, since you're from New York, would you ever consider doing the New York Pro and gunning to win that, or that's just something like you kind of really don't really think about?
If the New York Pro was still in New York,
I got you.
Yeah, would have done. To me, I just I mean, nothing against it being in Florida, but I want to win New York. Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah. But you could tell. Like, I've been to the New York Pro once, and I think it was Juan Morel was in it. And of course, De La Rosa was in it. And when the New York guys come up, you can hear the crowd.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
But hopefully by next year, hopefully by 2022, things will be back to normal, and we can have the shows back in New York and back in Chicago and back in LA and so on and so forth. But until then, we gotta kind of deal with it. So what bodybuilders do you like today coming up? I mean, you've been around a while now. There's a lot of good young guys coming up. What guys catch your eye where you go, yeah, that kid?
As far as the young guys that's coming up right now?
Yeah, open bodybuilding. Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of good guys. I just competed with Hunter Labrada. He has a great physique.
Yeah.
He has tons of potential, and he's moving up the ranks really fast.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah.
A lot of big things from him. You also have, like you said, Nick Walker is a big kid.
Yeah. And he's young. He's only 25, 26?
Something like that, yeah. So he's right there also. I mean, I think those are...
What do you think about Blessing?
I don't know too much about him. He never competed as a pro.
Yeah.
Two I mentioned pro stages. So you actually got to look at their physique and stuff like that. I competed up against both Hunter and Nick Walker. So I could speak on them a little bit more.
That's right.
He's yet to do a pro debut. So
yeah, I think he's doing a New York Pro.
Yeah, I can't really say, what he would look like because, he took a lot of time off.
Very good point. Yeah.
I can't really say too much about him,
Yeah, very good point. I like Nick, Hunter. I like Blessing. You're right. I gotta see him on stage first. He looks great in the pictures he's putting online, but then again, everybody does. And I really am a big fan of Samson Dowda because he just has those wide clavicles and wide shoulders. He hasn't competed in the States yet.
Yeah.
He's competed in Europe and the UK and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think he has a lot of potential. He's a little bit older though, right?
Yeah, he's around your age.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about like the younger guys, like the younger in their 20s that are just coming up.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Well, technically younger as far as the sport goes, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. He's been a pro for like 2 years, but there is a lot. I mean, people talk about like, bodybuilding, becoming like secondary. Everybody's looking at classic, but I don't know, man.
I hear that statement a lot, and I don't agree with it because
I don't agree with it either.
You go to the Olympia. If there wasn't open bodybuilding, I'm sorry, they wouldn't draw the crowd that.
I wouldn't go there. I went to the Olympia twice. I obviously, you don't remember, obviously, because you had so many fans, but I walked up to you and shook your hand. I was with my wife at the Olympia, but this was 4 years ago.
Probably when I did it in 2016, probably.
Yeah. And I agree with you. There's a lot of good open body, and there's a lot of good 212 guys. I mean, 212 is loaded.
Yeah,
loaded. One more question, and I'll let you go. This is a little bit controversial, but what do you think about all these old school guys, especially the top old school guys? the guys from the 90s. I asked Samson Dowder this question about talking about the young guys, the guys today. They don't work hard. They don't come in shredded. They all got bubble guts. And, you know, they kind of, you know, I couldn't agree. I mean, I couldn't disagree more. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
I mean, if you look at the open right now, the majority of guys can hit vacuums. So I don't really agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. You know,
I think I answered this question a few weeks back on an interview I did with Generation Iron.
Okay.
And it's the same thing as basketball. It's the same thing as football. It's the same thing. You know, every era is always going to say they're the best era.
That's right.
So it's an argument that you'll never be able to answer or never be able to win.
Well, you could argue it till you're blue in the face. You'll never know the answer.
Just like when I retire, I'm going to say my era was the best era.
That's right.
Okay, guys. So it's something that you just can't.
Every generation thinks the next generation sucks.
Exactly.
I told this story. I was an electrical apprentice, and LeBron James just broke into the NBA, and everybody was talking about LeBron. And there was this older dude on the job, maybe in his 50s. I think he was a plumber, or I'm not sure, a sprinkler guy. I'm not 100% sure. And he was like, LeBron James ain't nothing. Wilt Chamberlain was the man. And it's the same crap. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And if you notice, it's only the top guys. It's only the top guys saying it. The guys that are now trainers, the guys that were like decent pro bodybuilders that are now trainers, the Charles Glasses and the John Meadows and the Dave Palombos, they're not saying it. They're saying they're still in the still in the thick of things, and they see how hard you guys train. I mean, first of all, everybody's over 300 pounds now. Like every pro bodybuilder, it's like no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Anymore. Back then in the 90s, if you were over 300 pounds, it was like, whoa, that was a big deal. Like it was like maybe Ronnie and maybe Marcus Rule, and that was about it. You know.
True.
And as far as not working hard, I mean, just look at yourself. Look how hard you had to work to find that formula before the last 2 or 3 years. Right. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time and a lot of hard work, you know.
Exactly.
And there should be a little bit more respect, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bodybuilders that do, like a Fouad Abiad. He gives a lot of respect to the young guys and so on and so forth. Yeah, but when I hear that, I'm just like, I don't understand, you know, because if you don't have striations in your glutes, you're not even considered. And in the 90s, only really the top 5 guys had them. You know, you didn't.
And some of them even didn't have them.
Yeah, it was no big deal if you didn't have. Like Flex Wheeler is great and as much of a Hall of Fame bodybuilder, one of the favorites. He really didn't have striated glutes. Yeah. You know, today if you don't have striated glutes and hamstrings, you're not even in the top 10. Forget it. They don't look at you. You know. But yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. So listen, I'm gonna let you go. I really appreciate you doing this, dude. I know I see you at the gym all the time. You know, Signature and Retro and whatnot. I really appreciate you doing this for me. It's honestly, you know, I'm a hardcore bodybuilding fan, so I see you guys. It's like starstruck, you know. But good luck to you, man. And I know you're gonna obtain your goal. I don't really doubt you. I mean, you've come so far, and you're still a relatively young guy, 36. I mean, you got a solid, you know, 5 years of still, you know, making gains, and not so much gains, but making a better package.
Yeah.
So really, good luck to you, brother. And I appreciate you coming on. And let me know what show you is. I'll hit you up on Instagram, or when I see you in the gym, let me know what show you is, because I've been wanting to go to a show, and Florida is open, so maybe I'll take the trip. You know, we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. All right.
No problem.
You got it, brother.